Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to be talking about Joy by Jean Patou. In this particular concentration, formulation, or edition, actually, maybe we should say, because I've just discovered that this thing exists. I didn't even know it existed. A collector's edition of Joy. Check this out. From 2014, 2015, it's a 30 milliliter eau de parfum concentration. And at the bottom it says it's a collector's edition. And the packaging has this floral art deco type of design. And the gold lines and print are in red. There's like a red trimming around them right now, as opposed to the standard Joy packaging that we've had up until the discontinuation of it, because Joy is no longer in production, unfortunately, which would be this one here. This is also an eau de parfum, also 30 milliliter, but just different packaging. And this would be the Joy bottle, the last iteration of Joy before it was discontinued, like this, right? And so I found this, shocked that it even existed. I thought that this bottle was last ever produced in the 70s maybe, but this is kind of more of a 30s bottle of Joy, and I guess they had some sort of anniversary, and so they did a re-edition of the 30s bottle, or 60s, 70s bottle of Joy in black glass with this really heavy stopper. It is plastic, but there's also, I think, glass in there as well. I mean, it's very, very heavy. And then the gold sprayer as well as the gold text. Now we're gonna spray some on. I've been wearing it the whole day, so I already have dry down, have now fresh sprayed on. So for those of you who maybe have been following my channel for some time now, you probably already know that I have reviewed this version of Joy in its last iteration before it got discontinued. And you should check out that review if you want to know more about indoles, because it's a highly indolic perfume. It is a heavily jasmine-based fragrance, and it is a very, very heavy indole fragrance. So you can check out that review, or keep, and then come back here to watch the updated review of this particular one. But first and foremost, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and you can also follow me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well, for extra perks. I live stream every Saturday on my main channel. This is where I do my live streams. Like this live stream as well is happening there now, and you are all invited to join me in the chats. I have my wonderful co-conspirators in the chats right now. Hi, guys. Let's talk about this together. I'm going to be reading your comments as well as the review progresses. So I have hair all over the place. Today is not a good hair day. Now, when I purchased this Joy, it came in this box, and behind it are the ingredients. When I came home, I compared the ingredients to the current version of Joy, or the last iteration of Joy. And it's kind of hard for me to show them like this to you, but I did take a photo prior, and I'm going to kind of put it in as close as possible. I don't know if I can zoom it in so that you can take a screenshot. So here, you guys, you can take a screenshot and compare it for yourselves. So it's the same manufacturer. They're both made in France. SA Designer Parfums Limited. That's the address. And as you can see, the ingredients are almost the same, except the order in which they are placed at the beginning is not the same. And there's a few ingredients that are slightly different, or better said, missing in one formula as opposed to the other. So this is indicative of the fact that these formulas are different or slightly different. So it's not that we just have a difference in bottle, but we also have a difference in formula. Now the batch code of this Joy is 8259, and this one is 5272. So there's several years distance between them, this one being older. So maybe when this collector's edition came out, its regular counterpart had the same formula as the collector's edition, and then a couple of years later they reformulated it. So hence the latest iteration of it might have this formula. And you know, I'm comparing here 2 different years. So what does this mean? This means that maybe the formula for this collector's edition of Joy was the same formula as the regular edition that was manufactured in the same year as this. So I'm not sure. That could be the case. But however, these two are different and they smell different. And I can tell you, the black bottle Joy is much smoother. It still is indolic, but not as indolic as the transparent glass bottle. Now, for the ingredients, they do list Bulgarian rose in the top notes, ilang ilang in the top notes, tuberose in the top notes, and then middle notes, a bunch of jasmine and rose, actually May rose, which makes it smell very close to Chanel No. 5, jasmine and May rose in combination, and then the base notes, musk and sandalwood. So Joy does have a reminiscence of Chanel No. 5, the pure perfume, and I have it here, both in this, both, look how similar they look now, don't they? Black and gold. This one just has a little bit of red there. But out of the bottle, you do smell out the Chanel No. 5 Parfum Jasmine in there. So there's a similarity when it comes to the jasmine and the May rose. However, they do behave very differently in the dry down. While Chanel goes into that soft, beautiful, rosy territory, this one becomes more and more indolic and a little bit more dark and aggressive. However, less dark and aggressive than this one. This one turns very, very poopy and like indolic to the point of it's hardcore indolic. And on my skin, depending on the mood, the day, how humid it is outside, the temperature, what season of the year it is, it can turn very poopy. Sometimes a little bit less. This one stays tame. You might say it almost has an oily character to it, like it behaves maybe like an extrait, even though it's not an extrait. But it is almost as if it had a little bit of a buttery touch to it, like an oily, buttery touch, while this one doesn't. This one stays salty, oceany, barnacle type of jasmine smell, like pure jasmine smell, heavily indolic. This one blends in with other ingredients as well, with those oily, buttery substances that could be ilang ilang, or could be the sandalwood. Maybe the sandalwood they used around 2015 was a different quality sandalwood than the one that they're using in this edition. But it's definitely easier to wear, which I'm grateful for because I love Joy. I even love it in this iteration, although in this iteration I cannot always pull it off. And in particular, I cannot pull it off on those days where I feel like it's going to where I feel like other people are going to smell it on me as if I were stinky. Now, here's a plot twist there as well, because with Joy in particular, the way you perceive its smell on your skin is not how others smell it on you. So you will not really detect your own pheromones. Others will, subconsciously, but they will. And that smell will blend with the perfume, and that's what they will perceive. You will usually only actively, consciously be able to sniff out the perfume on you, while others will smell you and the perfume on you. So it's a completely different experience for others, how they perceive and smell a perfume that you're wearing, as opposed to how you perceive the perfume that you are wearing on yourself. Same applies vice versa. You will smell a fragrance on another person differently. You will smell it, sense it differently than they will on themselves. So it's a tricky, tricky thing, perfumes. They don't behave so linear like you would expect them to. Like with math, you would think 1 + 1 is 2. Well, 1 + 1 on me equals 4. 1 + 1 on you might equal 2, but you might smell a 3. Makes no logical sense, but that's how perfumes behave. So the ultimate, like the deliverance, how they deliver the actual smell. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a sip here. How they deliver a smell is very much connected to how you perceive a smell, how the other person that's with you perceives smell, what your hormonal balance of the day is, what their hormonal balance of the day is, and how you smell each other's pheromones on top of the fragrance itself. So, the tests I've made thus far have contributed to whoever smelled me to say, oh my gosh, it smells so clean on you. Even though when I smell it on myself, I'm like, this is borderline poopy. Even in this version, this one is completely poopy on me. This one, because the indoles tend to veer into that fecal direction, right? But others smell beautiful, clean florals on me with this version of Joy. So then I try to put myself in the position of thinking, okay, let me envision a clean floral smell. Let me visualize it in my mind before I smell it on my skin. Will it have an influence on me? Will it affect the way that I perceive this perfume? Spoiler alert, it does. It really does affect the way I perceive the perfume. And it also begins already with the bottle. And a lot of people don't put much care into the bottle their fragrances are stored in. To me, the bottle is like half the game, really, because if a bottle is ugly, chances are I'm gonna veer away from it, because the eyes want its part as well, and the tactile experience of holding a bottle is very important to me as well. So, but I'm saying this because when I saw Joy in the black bottle, it kind of became clear to me that this is not the right bottle for this perfume. Because this kind of clarity, this transparency, this sun, this kind of, you see, yellow, gold, doesn't match the heft of the fragrance. The black bottle gives you more mystery, depth, heft, weight. It makes me feel like I'm going through secret caves that I've discovered underneath the mansion that I live in, and they have been there for centuries, and my ancestors have been there but have not told me about it. I had to find it out on my own time. Everything was there for me to discover, but I needed the time to discover it. And once Joy was presented to me in the black bottle, I realized, oh, now this perfume makes 100% sense to me all of a sudden, all the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. It all clicked. And so since the bottle, the black glass, to me, suits the perfume more than the transparent glass, I thought to myself, well, let me also try to visual, and it helped me appreciate the smell even more. So I thought to myself, well, okay, if the visual of the representation of the bottle of the perfume alters my sense of how I smell it and perceive it, even though we do know that they have slightly different formulations, but it's basically the same perfume. But anyway, so I thought to myself, I can also alter my perception of the fragrance by envisioning a certain type of visual with the smell before I sniff it. And in fact, it works. I envisioned the field of fresh jasmine, beautiful flowers, clean air, slightly powdery notes, beautiful, comfortable flowers. And then I smell what I have as a memory of, kind of this barnacle smell, indolic smell. And then with that vision of the beautiful floral garden or meadow, I go again with my nose onto the perfume, and it's there. It smells like the meadow. It smells of clean flowers. There's no more indoles. So the mind is so fidgety, it's fickle. It can easily be manipulated because also our sense of smell is connected to the brain, and there's a lot of receptors there. And if you visualize a smell before you smell it, chances are you will smell something else, right? Interesting example, and I mentioned this in other perfume videos, is with Fruit Loops. You know how Fruit Loops have the fruity taste and they have different colors, and people say that every color has a different flavor. And then they made tests blindfolding a person, not letting them see the color of the Fruit Loop before they feed them to them. And then they say, well, now try to differentiate the flavors. Tell me which color are you eating? Does this have a different taste than that one? And when you're blindfolded, all of a sudden they all taste the same. But when you see them and you bite on them, you're like, oh, the yellow one is going to be citrusy. The green one is going to taste like apple. Once you don't have the visual before you bite onto a Fruit Loop, if you're blindfolded first, they will all taste the same. So that form of manipulation of the brain, of connecting the eyes, the visualization with the actual smell, is an interesting game. But it also shows me how easily manipulative and manipulable our sense of smell is, our sense of taste, our visuals, everything. We are highly influenceable when it comes to that. So in particular with joy, it becomes clear to me that just the mere changing of the bottle color gives me an entirely different understanding of the perfume. Gorgeous. What can I say? It's divine. The depth of it, the structure, the balance. Beautiful, beautiful, complex. And you know what? At the end of the day, way more modern smelling than one would think. There's a lot of perfumes out there that really smell from the times they come from, from the 30s, from the 20s, from the 10s. Perfumes have specific rhythms, and they're like songs. They're compositions. In fact, perfume notes are called notes, just like in music you have musical notes. And you can hear from music if a song, if a text, if a type of lyric is from a certain past decade or epoch. And same applies to perfumes. But there are a few perfumes that manage to transcend time. And one always asks oneself, well, why is that? Why does some perfume manage to cheat time and slide through the cracks of time and manage to always smell relevant. Joy is one of these perfumes. Is it indolic? Yes, but it has an element to it which is not time specific. Unlike, as much as I love it to bits, but here, Shalimar, in its extrait form, I think this one is very relevant today as well. And I love it to bits, but Shalimar is a child of its time. It's a 20s perfume, and it smells of the 20s. It's gorgeous today. It's still very, very important and relevant today. But you recognize the 20s in it. Here you don't. You don't recognize really the 30s. What you do recognize is an immediate need to communicate. An immediate need to communicate. This perfume connects with you and it wants to talk to you right away. Shalimar, for example, now that we lifted it up, Shalimar is dreamy. Shalimar doesn't. It's not as awake as Joy. It's a sleepy beauty. It's a fairy tale type of beauty. It's a beauty that you have to search out and interact with it because it's been there for such a long time, and it gives off that vibe of the weight of time. And that's what makes it feel like it's from another time, right? With Joy, the second you smell it, it slaps you. It's like, where the hell have you been? I've been waiting for you. It's like, it's very raw. And that makes it very modern to me. It makes it combative in a good way. It makes it relevant because it wants to be relevant. It keeps asking for it, begging for it, dying for it. You know what I mean? It keeps it keeps telling you, I'm here, we gotta talk. While Shalimar doesn't tell you that. Like, you gotta look for Shalimar has like done all the talking. Like, now you gotta go and look for it. No, this one is like, pew. And that's what makes it so relevant and modern. It also makes it challenging. Because it doesn't wait for you to make the first step. It makes the first step. And it initiates the conversation. So it sets the tone. You're kind of usually disoriented for a second, like, oh, okay, well, hold on, well, don't scream at me. Wait, what just happened here? So you're the one who finds yourself in a position to have to adapt to it because it's ahead of you. That's what makes it smell modern. Keeps you guessing. It doesn't run after you. You got to run after it. I think that's a very, very masterful idea for a composition of a perfume. And I don't know if they, when it was, composed, that if that was the idea behind this one. I don't think so. This is like highly speculative and very, very conceptual way of thinking about fragrances. Obviously, their branding and marketing was very simple, albeit very effective, because they marketed Joy as the most expensive perfume of all time with the biggest amount of jasmine and then some in it, making it, because jasmine is also a very expensive ingredient, making it the most expensive perfume of the world. The marketing for this perfume was all about rarity rather than being all about modernity. You see, if I were to relaunch a brand marketing for this perfume today, I would definitely go for the black bottle. I would definitely, instead of the transparent one, I would not talk about the most expensive perfume of the world. I think that's very obsolete. I think the marketing is what is very dated about this perfume. my marketing about this one would be directed towards something that keeps you guessing. It would be a perfume constantly, I envision a beautiful. Brands don't even invest a lot of money in video advertisements for perfumes anymore. Does anybody remember how gorgeously abstract and beautiful the black and white advertisements for Obsession by Calvin Klein were in the 80s? Oh my God, art films. David Lynch was hired to shoot a couple of perfume advertisements back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. He did one of the Yves Saint Laurent Opium perfume advertisements as well. So there was a different type of dedication to perfume advertisements back in the day than there was today. But I would go back to the golden era. Who remembers Egoiste, Chanel's, Egoiste with the mirrors, with the windows opening and closing, art piece of a commercial. Joy by Jean Patou, if it ever were to be brought back to life, because this perfume has been discontinued, unfortunately, I would dedicate an extra budget to a video advertisement or advertising campaign veering around the perfume talking to its wearer. But obviously there would not be any comic-y, cartoony mouth on the bottle talking. No, it would be more of a vision, something that is haunting the wearer. The bottle is just standing there, still in time, motionless, because time does not affect it. And yet the wearer in this dark room where there's just like rays of light coming through from, spot to spot. You don't really know where this room begins, where this room ends. And there's these rays of light cutting through like daggers through this darkness. And this perfume is just still like a monolith. And the wearer is kind of walking around it. Time is passing for the wearer, but not for the perfume, And the perfume just keeps saying, "Where have you been?" And the wearer is like, sweating and talking like, trying to converse with this perfume, but the perfume does not budge. The perfume does not let go. The perfume demands full attention. And that's the type of nightmare scenario I would envision for joy. And interesting that it's called joy. It's kind of the opposite of that vision, which is again another element that keeps you guessing, because you're like, wait, is this joy? This doesn't look like joy. Well, the sadist in all of us enjoys it. And that's the beauty of this perfume. That dark room in which you lose relation to where the room ends, where it begins, you become almost blinded. You don't see anymore. Actually, my actor or actress can be both male and female, because perfumes know no gender. In my book, they would be blindfolded and they would be walking through this room, not finding the walls, not finding the perfume, but the smell of it would be intoxicating and everywhere. And then from time to time, these rays of light kind of just like cut through that darkness. And because the wearer has been already blindfolded for such a long time, even if the ray of light comes away from them, even from a distance, they're so used to that darkness that even a flicker of light in a distance would make them feel that like there's something happening in another corner of the room. And the smell would be permeating the space without space that you would be lost in, walking around trying to find joy, desperately seeking for joy, but never fully finding joy. Almost like an advertisement that comes out of Hellraiser, the movie, or the new TV show that just came out. That's the mood I envision for joy, and that's kind of the vibe that this perfume gives me. And it's the dream or the nightmare scenario in which I live when I wear this perfume. It's amazing, and it's a great perfume to wear to go to sleep. For this reason as well, because it's a dream of reality. It's very, very actual. It's like a dreaming while being awake type of scenario. And I think for me, the only way to enjoy joy is to allow it to dominate, allow it to guide you. Only once you learn to let go, will it let you find in that crazy dark room blindfolded. Only when you learn to let go and stop desperately seeking it, only then will it allow you to find it. Only then will it allow you to get to it. And only then will it allow you to understand it. But only when you learn to really truly let go can you actually really understand it, because this thing is timeless. And when you learn to let go, you become a little bit more detached from the burden of time yourself. So you manage to start grasping the concept of joy, the perfume, because it is within that realm of timelessness. So when you learn to let go, you kind of enter a little bit. You never really do, because we are finite. We do, we have an expiry date. We do perish. We're perishable goods, you guys. But we manage to grasp a little bit more the concept of being timeless, and then we can kind of latch on to joy and finally find a way to catch it. Actually, you can never catch it. It allows you to get it. Coincidentally, I do believe that it was fate. Very holistic approach to life I know, but the fact that I didn't even know that this collector's edition existed up until a few days ago, and there it was, after a long time of dealing with joy, of trying to understand it. I have these other bottles, I bought several backups of them because they're discontinued. And then out of the blue, once I've done many, many, many months of understanding this perfume, letting it go, finding my way back to it, letting it go again, after many, many months, all of a sudden this thing is standing in a perfume shop on a shelf, just like, I'm like, what the hell is this? Did they bring back joy? Is it not discontinued? Then you check the batch code, you're like, oh no, this is several years old. Huh. So joy found its way to me. It let me get to it. This is some magical, magical potion, let me tell you. CK says, oh, Dacob, you just mentioned my joy. My business is just joy photography. Isn't funny. My business is just joy. I don't understand. You're what? Oh, you are in the business of photography? Well, good for you. Do you like perfumes as well? I hope so. This thing is amazing. It also smells of a lipstick accord, but indolic. It's like a very, very potent, sharp, edgy lipstick. Oh, Rachel, thank you so much. Dacob should write poetry, so eloquent. Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you. Body chemistry can cause scents to smell differently. Yes, Sini-san. Very, 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 very differently. There's a beautiful lipstick accord in there as well. Kind of lurking in the background, which I love a lipstick accord in a perfume. Oily, dense lipstick accord. Oh, majestic. Anyway, this was my joy update. Joy update. Collector's edition Eau de Parfum. It's made in France. Batch code 5272. LVMH, what have you done to discontinue this beauty? For what? For the sake of Dior's joy? That's a travesty of a perfume. It's a whole other perfume. It's nothing to do with Jean Patou's joy. So that was that, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this very long review, but I think a perfume of this caliber and this heritage deserves a lot of time, and it deserves all the time I can give it, seriously, because it's a travesty that this thing is discontinued. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Does anybody else own the collector's edition of this? Let me know, because I've never heard of this before. Until next time, never forget to never give up on fragrant, joyful love. Subscribe.